High School English, Lesson 5 and Lesson 6. Lesson 5. The Joy of Appreciating Art. Visual. Confuse. Extreme. Ordinary. Fascinate. Main. Imitate. Ancient. Prove. Actually. Take away from. Purpose. Capture. Criticism. Matter. Vividness. Illusion. Object. Detect. Pull aside. Ambassador. Distort. Recognize. Identify. Specific. Skull. Spread. Frighten. Stand for. Landscape. Unconscious. Perspective. In detail. Differ from. Belong to. The artist's magic. Artists work magic with visual images. Their colors and shapes can fool us. Sometimes, their works confuse us with their extreme reality. At other times, artists turn ordinary images into something strange and make us wonder about them. Artists are also able to paint images from our dreams on their canvases. With their magic, artists can fascinate us and take us away from our everyday lives. Imitating reality. In the past, the main goal of many painters was to imitate reality. One popular story from ancient Greece tells of two famous painters. They wanted to prove their skills in a competition. One of them painted grapes that looked so real that birds actually tried to eat them. The other artist, however, won the competition when his picture of a curtain fooled not animals, but his competitor, who tried to pull the painted curtain aside to see the picture behind it. This kind of realistic art was popular during the ancient Greek and Roman times, and then again during the Renaissance. Its purpose was to capture a moment in time and hold it forever. In this picture, a boy seems to be emerging from the dark space of the picture. He has one foot on the frame, seemingly trying to pull himself out of the scene. To these artists, what mattered most was the vividness of the moment. Telling stories. Some artists used illusions to tell a story. Sometimes they hid messages in their pictures so well that we might miss them even when they are right before our eyes. Here is a picture of two men. Between them are many ordinary objects that look so real that even the smallest detail can be detected. If you look at the picture closely, however, you will see a strange form at the bottom center. Can you tell what it is? It is, in fact, a secret message that the artist hid in the picture. He distorted the shape of a common object to make it harder to recognize. It can be identified only when it is viewed from a specific angle. To catch the message, look for the arrow on the right of the picture. Then, view the picture from that angle with your nose directly against the paper, and the secret message will appear. It is a skull, spread out. The skull was a reminder of death, a common theme in Renaissance art. It stands for the short, meaningless nature of life, and the artist must have painted the skull to remind us that we will, one day, die. The artist, however, may not have wanted to frighten the viewers with too direct an image, and hid the message. The painting probably hung on a wall right beside the stairs, so that the viewers, while coming down, could see the skull its an original shape. Painting the Landscape of Dreams. René Magritte, a Belgian painter, understood one thing better than anyone else: that common, everyday objects can be painted in surprising ways. His paintings represent objects in great detail, but at the same time they differ from how we see reality. For example, look at the lady in the picture. Where is she riding? Is she in front, behind, or among the trees? The image feels real, but we cannot explain exactly what we see, just as if it were a dream. Magritte belonged to an art movement called Surrealism. Surrealist painters tried to capture the workings of the human unconscious through fantastic images. We can think of art as a history of illusions. Looking at the world through art, we come to appreciate it from unexpected, surprising, and fresh perspectives. Lesson 6. Traveling for volunteer work. Meaningful. Preserve. Site. Archaeological. Distant. Welcome. International. Participate in. Construction. Recover. Surrounding. Historic. Slope. Sacred. Valley. Soak. Lime. Sour. Adjust to. Take advantage of. Be crowded with. Path. Evidence. Civilization. Weed. Pottery. Store. Exhausted. Remains. Complete. Ruin. Amazed. Prosper. Unforgettable. Blessing. Receive. Be thankful for. Yena's 2 weeks in Peru. Last summer, I learned about the Inca project in Peru while I was researching how I could spend my summer vacation in a meaningful way. The goal of the project is to preserve an Inca archaeological site in Peru. I decided to participate in the project since it would give me an opportunity to both travel and take part in a real archaeological dig. Even though I was excited about the project, I was also nervous because I had never before traveled alone to such a distant place. The site of the dig was near Cusco, a city that was once the capital of the Inca Empire, high in the Andes Mountains. Traveling to Cusco was not easy. I had to change flights twice, once in Los Angeles, California, and again in Lima, Peru, before finally arriving in Cusco, 32 hours after I left Korea. In Cusco, the local staff welcomed me with a warm "Buenos dias, Yena." The director introduced me to the other international volunteers who arrived at the same time. They came from many different countries, including England, Canada, America, and Belgium. Cusco is a beautiful city with old constructions. We stayed in Cusco for 2 days, recovering from the long hours of flight and adjusting to the high mountain area. We took advantage of the time to tour the city and to see something of the surrounding area. On the first day, we visited Sacsayhuaman, a huge Inca stone construction. The construction includes a great square with 3 big walls. I was amazed that the huge stones for these walls were placed very tightly together. The next day, we went to Pisac, a historic site located on a mountain slope of the Sacred Valley. On our way to the site, there was a town where the main square and market were crowded with local people. At the market, I bought a cute doll from a woman who had made it herself. For dinner that evening, we had ceviche, a dish of fish soaked in lime juice. This sweet and sour local food was served with sweet potatoes and corn. I had not eaten any Peruvian food before. All the dishes that we ordered were delicious. After seeing Cusco, we moved to Juro, the site where we would be working. My heart beat at the beautiful surroundings. I was excited about the work I would be doing. All the staff and other volunteers who had arrived in Juro earlier welcomed us with warm hearts. The next morning, we began working at the site. To arrive at the site, we had to walk up a mountain for 30 minutes. I imagined that we were in an Indiana Jones movie, making a path through the forest to find evidence of the ancient Inca civilization. At the archaeological site, we pulled out weeds and cut down trees that had grown to cover the site. Then, while digging at the site, we found some pieces of ancient pottery. The head archaeologist, a Peruvian, discovered a large pottery piece. He said it might have been the side of a pot that was used to store beans. By early afternoon, working in the heat and the thin air, I was exhausted. After days of hard work, however, I was pleased that I had been part of such a worthy project as preserving the remains of the ancient Inca civilization. Besides our archaeology work, we visited a local elementary school once a week. We taught and played with the children in the morning, and we read to the children from books in the library in the afternoon. Although they didn't have much, the children were happy and thankful for what they had. That moved me deeply. Near the end of our visit, having completed our volunteer work, we went by train to the nearby ruins of Machu Picchu. The ancient Sky City welcomed us with its grand view of the Urubamba Valley, far below. We could not imagine how the Inca could have built such a large city on top of a high mountain. We were amazed by the outstanding building skills of the Inca civilization, which prospered more than 5 centuries ago. After my unforgettable days in Peru, I returned to my daily life at home. The happy moments I spent there went by so fast. I wished I could have stayed longer. Participation in the Inca project was a blessing to me, allowing me to learn the importance of volunteering. I received far more than I gave from the experience. The end.